Live. There we go. Welcome to another episode of Shh, Let Your Dog Talk. I'm your host, Eric Gonzalez, with my four-legged companion, Canine Judah. Judah, stand. Good boy, sit. Fui. Ready? Ready? Good boy, down. Guys, remember, he's on a table, it's wobbly, so he's kind of like shaking it up. Guys, today we're going to be talking about COVID-19. Unfortunately, last week we went live and we had different equipment and it didn't work in our favor, unfortunately. So basically what happened was we had to order an interface, and the interface, for whatever reason, since the interface was the mediator between the microphone and the computer, apparently there were some glitches throughout it. So after going about 40 minutes or what have you, we realized that. So what we'll be doing, we'll be coming on a weekly basis, preferably on Wednesdays, between 4:30, maybe 5 o'clock, to go live. And so basically what happened, there was glitches. So I did 2 shows with that one, 2 shows in one, which was an introduction of who we were, which we just did the pre-recording to it. We did that, and then we also threw in the COVID-19, considering there was a lot going on with the COVID-19, the stress and the concerns, what have you. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of minutes just to talk about COVID-19. Again, hopefully we don't have no glitches with the new equipment. That video, unfortunately, because there were so many problems, we're deleting it sometime today, throughout tonight, correct? All right, that's my engineer. Where's the engineer? Where's the hand at? All right, that's my engineer, guys. Someday you shall meet the engineer, the invisible arm. Listen, tune in to the previous recording that will be uploaded tonight. The pre-recording, which is our first episode, will be uploaded tonight. Check it out. It talks about a little bit of our history, what makes me proficient to speak into your life, as well as the mentors that I've had throughout my life. Now, there are a lot that I can tell you I learned through videos here, videos there, what have you. But there are people that I've had the privilege of meeting, sitting under, and allowing them to speak into my life, even to date. Any of them individuals I can call up and literally just sit, pick their brain as if I was family. And so check that one out if you haven't. There's no glitches, and I think you'll enjoy it and kind of get to know us a little bit better. The objective is for me able to sit in your living room and help you. You know, one of the things where I excel is being put on the spot. Hey, you know, I'm talking to a client, they ask me a question, and I gotta have the answers. You know, being ready in season and out of season, I gotta be ready. And so I like that. So if there's ever any questions or what have you, feel free to ask the questions. They may not be answered at the moment, only because we're on a time constraint in which our episodes are going to be anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes. And we don't want to lose your attention when I have you. And so at the end of the day, we want to make sure that what needs to come out comes out. Today we're going to be talking about COVID-19. It's a very stressful time that we're all going through. And it's important to understand that when we're going through stress, our animals are feeling that. A lot of times people say, oh, you got that dog because it looks like you. And in reality, it doesn't look like you. It's more of a characteristic like you. In other words, you act a certain way, the dog may act a certain way. For example, if you ever had somebody in your circle that was like a quote-unquote couch potato, you'll be surprised the dogs that they have a tendency of being like-minded. They'll be, you know, you're like, wow, he's a couch potato just like you. You're not going to have a couch potato person with a dog that's a sprinter, wants to run all day. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. You're not going to have a person that's an athletic person that's going to have a couch potato around them. The mixture is not there. In other words, they're not going to connect. And it's important that there's a connection between you and that four-legged companion, in that, you know, those dogs tend to be very therapeutic throughout the relationship, right? So what happens, a lot of times I'll get a dog come in and the dog is real nervous. So I'll take the time to get to know the person, to understand where that stress level is coming from. In other words, Why is the dog conveying such stress? Why is the dog acting irritable? Why is the dog acting ways that are unbecoming, undesirable? Sometimes it's handler error. Sometimes it could be mistakes that we're making, and we're unaware of it. A lot of times it can start from the stomach while the puppy is in the stomach. What I mean by that is when I'm working a dog, let's say a working dog, a German Shepherd, a Belgian Malinois, or something like that, and it's a female and she gets pregnant, I always encourage the dog to be worked almost to the day they give birth. Why? Because I want to convey to those puppies that type of energy. What I mean by that is, have you ever heard doctors say, speak to the stomach when the baby's in there, because they believe that the waves or what have you are received. They feel that the babies will be more intelligent when they come out. Like, it's encouraged to read a lot. Moms, read to your stomach, read to the baby. Dad, talk to the stomach or what have you while the baby is in there. Why? Because it is believed scientifically that there's going to be an impact that's going to benefit you once the child is born. That being said, it's the same with puppies. When puppies are in the stomach, if the mother was enduring a stressful season in her life, and that she wasn't being cared for appropriately, she was barely eating, and she was just a ball of nerves, most likely that litter is going to convey those characteristics in which they're going to be more of a nuisance, and they're not going to be a productive member of the family unless the right hand, right knowledge interacts with those type of puppies. And so it's important to understand, and I'm conveying this because it's important to understand that during this COVID-19 lockdown that we're in, from a world perspective, not even our country, but from a world perspective, there's a lot of stress that we're enduring. So now we have people that lost their jobs. We have moms that are used to not caring for their children or what have you, so for so many hours throughout the day because they've been working. The children were in school, now they're not. In reality, we're going back to the old ways where dad went to work, mom educated, or what have you, but whatever. That's where we're at right now. And because we're not used to that, it's a very stressful moment for many of us, unfortunately. As much as I don't like it, or many of you don't like it, the domestic violence has gone up during these last few weeks because husbands and fathers are home, they're stressing, they don't got money, and they take it out on their spouses, children, or what have you. And so there's a lot of stress, unfortunately. That being said, it's important to understand that stress can put your dog in a position to act unbecoming. You know what I'm saying? Like in an unbecoming manner, which is not healthy for nobody. Because what's going to wind up happening is we're going to wind up abandoning a lot of these dogs, if not hurting these dogs and or the dog hurting us in return, in the defense from the stress that you're conveying to the dog during this stressful season in which we're all enduring. So it's very important to be patient. Remember, the dogs are not children, but we need to understand that if we can respect them like a child, we'll be successful with the relationship. All right, you're not going to take your child and throw him out the window because he's crying too much. And therefore, you're not going to take your dog and just kind of throw him out the door. Unfortunately, we have that type of pattern in which we find many dogs, abandoned. I'm a dog trainer. I have a facility. I board dogs. I board train dogs. And there are many instances where people are about to move. They'll give you a minimum fee, allowing you to believe that they'll be back, and they'll disappear because they relocated or what have you, and the dog was just a nuisance, and they felt more comfortable doing something like that rather than taking them to the pound where most likely the dog would have been put down. All right, so during this COVID-19, it's important to understand that your dogs are going to stress just like you. Be patient with them. I would always encourage you to make sure that you have a relationship with a professional, some kind of trainer, that will definitely come alongside you and help you through this stressful time, and that they're knowledgeable to do so. That being said, besides the stressful periods in which may occur, it's very important to understand that during this time, it's very beneficial for many that can afford it, have the space for it or what have you, to obtain a dog during this time. And I'll tell you why. First and foremost, here in Miami-Dade County, it was just reported that many people during this era are obtaining dogs during this time, primarily because of the criminal element that surrounds us. Unfortunately, many home invasions have occurred while we were at work or what have you. In some instances, people were there, they wound up getting injured and or killed or what have you, unfortunately. What But during this era right now, I can attest to it because I'm training dogs right now that on camera, their property where there was an attempt of a home invasion or a burglary or what have you, and the presence of a dog deterred them. I have one case right now that I'm dealing with. You guys follow me on my Bite Life _Canine page. There is a Mastiff, a South African Mastiff that I'm working with right now. And what we're doing with that dog is we're bringing out the fire. Now, obviously, he's not a German Shepherd. He's not going to be as vocal as a German Shepherd. These big Mastiff guard dogs are extremely loud. They're confident, and they'll just stand their guard. And so the owner was desiring a more intimidating demeanor. And so what happened was we have it on camera where there's, the bad guys are peeking through trying to see if they can get into the property. And what they see is this big Mastiff looking there. Now, obviously, that was sufficient to deter the threat, but nonetheless, there's a small percentage that would have taken a chance because of the demeanor of the dog at the time. It is said that 98% of your criminal element, which is an extremely high percentage, will not enter a property just to avoid the drama, potentially getting bit or what have you, when they know there's a dog present and or a dog that's barking that can wake up an owner or what have you, allowing them to go get a weapon or call 911 or what have you. So 98% of your criminal element will not deal with a property where the dogs are present. I remember recently getting a phone call from a client of mine, doctor, very lucrative home, all this crazy security around the gate. You have to go through a gate. He had cameras or what have you. He has several dogs that I've had the privilege of training. He found on his camera that they deterred his property because of the dogs, and he wanted to break it into the criminal wanted to break it into 2 houses down where there was no dogs. That individual, so you'll know, that individual became my client. That individual lived alone. She also worked in the medical field. She was a PA or what have you, a doctor herself. They lived in a very lucrative community with all this high-tech community security, vehicles up and down or what have you, but they got violated. This woman actually had to run out of her house and leave the guy there, and she conveyed to me how she felt she was going to die that night and or be raped. And so she touched and agreed with me based on the neighbor who knew me. I was able to put a 4-legged companion that was capable of protecting her, and as far as I know, she's living happy. She has children, but they're all in college, they're all aware, what have you. And so living alone in such a big property like that, it can be scary when somebody breaks into your house uninvited. All right, so these are the things that happen. So this is the positive side of having a 4-legged companion, there, on your property. Preferably trained. It's one thing. People ask me often about the training aspect. Well, isn't it sufficient enough to just have the dog? In some cases, maybe. But what happens when your dog bites somebody, and you wind up, they were a large individual, but they were a minor. So your dog killed a minor because we chose not to put no training on these dogs. When I tell people often, the investment that you put is priceless when it comes to your life and the life of those around you that you love, right? So, when you look at, who was it? It was Extentation, about 3 years ago. Last year, it was Nipsey Hussle. This year, it was Pop Smoke. These are individuals that if they weren't millionaires, they were in the route of becoming millionaires. In all of those scenarios, if they would have had a dog, home invasion or robbery or what have you, if they would have had their 4-legged companion, if they would have made an investment with a 4-legged companion as such, they wouldn't have, most likely, what occurred would have not occurred because, again, 98% of your criminal element will not interfere where a dog is present because of the potential outcome of being attacked, bit, or what have you. And so it's very important to understand that. So the negatives is the stress that we're enduring that your dogs will definitely pick up and therefore potentially act unbecoming. And then you have those that are sound-minded. I believe you out there are sound-minded that can definitely be responsible enough to be able to cover all your bases, your children, this, that, your work or what have you, as well as your dog. And again, only if you can manage your dog in your household in the midst of this turmoil, I would highly recommend it being a factor because, as I was previously mentioning, if a home invasion occurs now, knowing that most people are out of work or what have you, if they break in, they're gonna break in and potentially hurt somebody, if not murder somebody within your four walls, within your domain. And that's nothing lightly. You know, just the other day on the news, and I put some of these clips and explanations on my Bite Life, during my Bite Life channel, my Instagram channel. And so if you notice, there was a post that I put up there, and what the news conveyed was that the owner seen in the middle of the night strangers walking in and out of his living room while he slept with his wife, and the two children slept in another room. Now, we thank the Most High, the deity, whoever you thank. We thank him that nothing occurred out of character, in the sense that nobody got injured, nobody got hurt or what have you. But it could have turned out real bad. Had somebody woken up to go to the bathroom or something, and they would have confronted these criminals, most likely somebody would have gotten hurt and or murdered. All right. So at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, this level of security is priceless. Right, guys? It is priceless. So during this COVID-19, think, if you're stressed, if you can't endure it, don't have a four-legged companion. But if you're stable-minded and you can control the stresses that are being brought before you, and you can add a four-legged companion to your game room, to your household, to your family, I would definitely recommend such an investment, because again, your life is priceless. All right. So listen, this was a remake of our previous live. We're gonna delete it, unfortunately. So I just finished a pre-recording pertaining to the introduction, and I try to squeeze this in the first video. The first live, we try to squeeze the two classes because the COVID-19 is such a stressful situation. I felt it my responsibility to definitely mention it. So since we already got the intro pre-recorded out the way, I wanted to take time to really zone in and focus on this whole COVID-19 concerns, the negatives pertaining on your energy and the positives pertaining the security that the four-legged companion can bring to your state of mind, to your peace of mind, to the peace of your family, which is very, very important. That being said, we're going to conclude this class, this session, this podcast. We're looking forward to having you tune in with us next week, Wednesday. Again, 4:35. We're still getting our feet wet as far as zoning in the time. And therefore, since we're doing that, it is important that you guys continue to tune in. Because listen, I'm all about being a blessing to you. I want to feel like I'm in your living room and answering all the questions you may have and or desire during this time and or thereafter. All right, guys? So our next episode, we're going to be talking about the mark. I have a great pride to the mark and what I've done in the industry with the mark. I did not create the mark, but I evolved it from its initial use from the studio world. And so having done that and so many people using it to date, I take pride of that, and I want to kind of just talk a little bit about that in our next episode and the power of the mark. All right, Judah's a dog. I could leave and come back, and he's gonna be right there on the mark. He's not going anywhere. Basically, what the mark represents is a modern den. In other words, they're den-oriented creatures. Once they have a den environment, they'll feel at peace, thus bringing peace to you. And so we will definitely be talking about the mark, because I have great pride of what I've done with it, and I want to leave it with you in your living room. That being said, listen, ask me questions, DM me. I have my Instagram account, BiteLife_Canine, not the word canine, but the letter K, the number 9, BiteLife_Canine, and then our podcast channel is with 3 H's, so it's SHHH_L for let your Y DT, dog talk. Let your dog talk, the initials. Let your dog talk, or the initials LYTD. All right? Tune into those. Jump on the DMs. Ask me questions. I'm looking forward to the questions coming through there. If I get 2 or 3 people asking me the same question, that's what the next episode most likely will cover. All right? So, listen, I love what I do, and I'm here to give back. And if I can give you a peace of mind during this stressful time, I'm happy. I've done my job. All right, listen, looking forward to tuning in next week with you all again. And I appreciate the time you took to tune in with me today. All right? Judah, cover. Fui. Fui. Cover. Okay, stand. Shooter, stand. Fui, stand. Stand. Good boy. Pretty. Good boy. Circle. Up. Fui. Circle. Fui. Shooter, circle. Remember, guys, the table is wobbly. So he's over here a little stressed out. Circle. For the simple reward of doing that. That's his reward. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.